Well,
for sure.
I want to probably start off with just like the evolution of horror because, um, as you know, horror kind of like starts way back in the day. I mean, really, like I think Dracula and things like that, Nosferatu back in the early 20s, was big. And that's more like, that's a lot of the vampire stuff. I think that's when that started coming about. And then and then as you went along, there was just a lot of other movies that really kind of started paving the way. I think there was a little bit of break there after some of those vampire movies. And then you got to like Alfred Hitchcock and his way of horror with like Psycho and The Birds and Vertigo and movies like that. Did you ever watch Psycho, the original? No? Okay. I actually watched that in high school, ironically enough. There's actually a scene in there where who plays that girl? There's actually a scene in there where the girl's in the shower and he like murders her. And it was a class called
It's a
Mass
famous.
Media.
It's a
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
famous
was just saying
scene.
it's a famous scene. I know I've seen like stills from that scene in Psycho,
Right. And
but
do
yeah.
you know the general kind of like the general plot of the movie?
Let me guess. I'm gonna guess the plot is that there's a guy. Well, okay. Now I'm gonna lean into maybe being facetious here, but like I'm gonna assume there's a guy and he's psychotic and he murders people. He murders women. I'm gonna say that he murders women. Am
Well,
I
you're
close?
pretty close. He owns the Bates Motel. I'm sure you've heard of the Bates Motel. His name was Norman
I have,
Bates.
yeah.
And Norman Bates was played by Anthony Perkins. And he would murder people and he would do it for his mother. And his mother was actually dead, but he kept her body in the attic. I don't know. I say addict, attic with so like he kept her the corpse in the attic with like a wig on it and stuff, and he would talk to her, and it was very creepy. I'm sure that movie came out in 1960, so I can imagine that
Yeah.
that would have been a pretty creepy thing, considering how mundane we were as a society. When I say that, I mean we were very traditional and conservative, much more back then. So it was just
Yeah.
it's a really good it's an interesting take on things, and Alfred Hitchcock, he does really good. He was always focusing on camera angles and just the sensory images and the scenery and the music, and I think he really kind of paved the way for everybody else in that kind of genre of horror movies. But and then we start getting after that we start getting a lot of the crazy one, like the bigger pictures, like The Exorcist, which is huge. Everybody, probably most people, what they remember about The Exorcist is the projectile, back to the vomit, but the projectile vomit that she does in like a straight horizontal, like just stream of vomit, which is not really scary, just fucking gross. But I don't know, they do that kind of thing. And then you've got like, and then you start getting into Stanley Kubrick, which was big, and he was doing The Shining, which was the Stephen King, based off the Stephen King novel. We all know Nicholson and playing the crazy guy in The Shining, and then you get into some of the slashers like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm missing one. Oh, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So those are all kind of like coming out in the 70s and in the 80s. And then you kind of get into like, and then there's Alien, with Sigourney Weaver. And I mean, how many movies have they come off with that? And then they had The Predator, and now they do Aliens and Predators together. And you have, by the way, Jaws, which I guess is, yeah, definitely considered a horror movie, 1975. It was the first time a horror movie was actually like a summer blockbuster.